So I honestly didn't think things could get worse for Intel. Apple ditches them, AMD comes out with these great CPUs, and now AMD is set to take out Intel in the business market because this laptop, the HP EliteBook 845G7, terrible name, now contains an AMD Pro CPU. This is a business CPU set to take on Intel's vPro. Now, I really dig the look of the EliteBook. It's just clean, it's simple, it just looks like a business laptop without feeling too boring. It's an all aluminum chassis with plastic inside to reinforce it, to give it a solid feel. There's a bit of squish on the top, but it's nowhere nearly as bad as the HP Omen 15. Kudos to HP for putting proper Phillips screws on the bottom and not using some sort of weird screw instead. It just makes people getting into the laptop a lot easier. The hinge, super solid. I'm not feeling any wobble or bad flex using this laptop. It just works as it should. It's a 14-inch laptop, so it's a bit heavier than most other laptops at 3.31 pounds, but I don't feel like this is a heavy laptop in general. On the left-hand side, you have your Noble Lock, 2 USB ports, audio jack, and your smart card reader. And then on the right-hand side, you have your barrel connector for your power, HDMI, 2 USB Type-C ports. This is not Thunderbolt 3, this is an AMD laptop. And then you have your SIM card tray if you want to put a SIM card in here and use cellular connectivity. This keyboard is fantastic. It feels so comfortable to type on. The travel distance and the actuation force is a pleasure. You have 2 levels of backlighting, and yes, HP has their own version of the nipple. I like touching this nipple too, okay? And if I have to compare it to the Lenovo nipple, this one's a bit softer with an indent in the middle for your finger to rest and a little bit more ribbed for your pleasure, whereas the Lenovo nipple is harder and firmer. I like nipple variety, and thank you HP for bringing this to the table. There is no stickers. So it's a clean laptop, and I like that. You have speakers on the top, and they sound great. The touchpad is a good size. It is made out of glass and the accuracy is pretty good. Not as good as the Surface laptop, but really no major complaints at all. You do have a fingerprint scanner for Windows Hello, or you can use facial recognition at the top to log you in. Now you do have a shutter here to open and close the camera for privacy. And it does shoot 720p video, but just like most other webcams, it doesn't look that great. This display is 14 inches, it's 60 hertz, it's IPS, it's matte, so you don't get those crazy reflections. It's not touch, but it does have good color gamut, good color accuracy, and great screen brightness. I'd be totally comfortable doing design work on this. But the most exciting thing about this laptop is its performance. This 4750U is the fastest AMD Pro processor you can get, paired with 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and you have a very formidable business laptop. It doesn't matter what multi-core test you run, this will dominate any Intel vPro CPU that's a U-series processor. It's just that good. Single core is a little bit different. Intel sometimes holds the upper hand, but overall it's just a very powerful laptop. And if I had to choose this over a U-series Intel processor, I would choose this any day of the week. Even when it comes to developers who are carrying this a lot, you're gonna appreciate the 8 cores that this has inside of here because it just chews through compile times. Heat management was interesting because the keyboard never got super hot. It stayed below 45 degrees Celsius, but the CPU did tend to get a little hot sometimes, hitting 99 to 100 degrees Celsius if I let this run for long periods of use. Now, in all fairness, HP is being super conservative with fan noise, like 41 to 42 decibels under full load. They really want the business user to have a quiet experience, but I wouldn't worry too much about this CPU hitting 100 degrees. The AMD processors have a higher threshold than the Intel ones. Honestly, as an ex-IT administrator, I always love when laptop vendors make it really easy to get inside. Just Phillips screws, nothing complicated. Pry off the back, and all the stuff you'd expect to be upgradable are upgradable. You have 2 RAM slots for potential of up to 32 gigabytes. You have your NVMe SSD that gets good read and write speeds, swappable Wi-Fi card, and a 53 watt-hour battery. Now, this battery gave me 15 hours and 53 minutes of use. And that is absolutely insane. This is the best battery life I've seen on an AMD laptop. The only thing I don't like about the internals is the fact that they went with one fan and one heat pipe. That's why you're getting that low fan noise and a more conservative approach to performance. I just would have loved to see two. So here's the thing, if you're a regular consumer, just buy the HP Envy or Spectre. You don't need to pay extra money for these business security features. But if you're a business owner or an IT manager looking at purchasing new laptops, as long as you've tested and think that AMD Pro fits in your infrastructure properly, then I would get this over Intel vPro equivalents. You just get significantly much better performance per dollar and battery life, and your employees will thank you for it later. The only advantage to the Intel model is that you do get that Thunderbolt 3 support. So if some of your employees need that extra bandwidth for an external GPU or whatever it is, you might still want to consider those. I hope that answered all of your questions. If you have any more, you can hit me up on Discord. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.